guys. So we're back today to make a video that I don't know if anyone else will care about, but Dan and I were in the bathroom last night having a conversation. We frequently have long conversations in the bathroom. That's so cute. And we were talking about this topic and I was like, we should make a video about this because this is so cute. So I've said this many times, but Dan and I have almost been married 10 years. And besides the fact that we've almost been married 10 years, which is crazy, we've also moved many a times.
10 times.
10 times.
I think so.
No, I think this will be our 10th.
Might be.
We're about to
Too
find
many.
out because we're going to basically tell the story today of our housing life, like our different housing situations. Because when we were talking about it, we're like, the journey to us buying our first house is kind of crazy. So let's start at the beginning. Let's start at the beginning. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. House number one.
Oh my gosh.
Where did we live first, Dan? What was our first house?
Well, I got engaged when I still lived at my parents' house.
Mm-hmm.
So then I moved out 4 months before we got married.
Yeah.
And then that was into my buddy's house, who got they converted their garage into like an apartment.
Yeah.
So I lived there with my buddy, and then after 4 months or 6 months or something like that, we got married. He moved out, she moved in.
Yeah.
And we lived there for like pretty much 1 year on the dot.
Yeah, almost exactly 1 year. Now I can't let you, I feel like we have to paint the narrative of what this was. This was a garage.
Yeah.
There was no air conditioning. There was no heating. There were roaches. There was no kitchen. There was a kitchen, but it wasn't a kitchen. It was, no, I don't want to bash this place to the degree of like, I'm grateful for what we had, you know, but like, it was a garage that was converted into an apartment. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, it had a little kitchenette and it had a little bathroom. It had like a normal size. No, it had a small bedroom too.
It was a garage.
Yeah.
Like picture like a normal, like a suburban house and a garage, and it was just made into a little living situation, which for us was perfect at the time because we were paying such little money to live there, and we got married so young. We got married, to those of you that don't know, well, I'm 30 now, he's 31. I was 20, he was 21. And we moved into this garage because we decided, we were like, we're so young, we want to still live life like young people, not all of a sudden have to be super tight on money. So that's why we moved into a garage. But we moved out when one night in the middle of the night, I woke up to a roach in my bed. And after that, I was like, I refuse to live here anymore.
Yeah. Dude, that house got hot as balls in the summer. Like, we had a air conditioning unit that I got from Home Depot for like $500, and it connected to the window, so it blew out hot air and blew in cold air, and it was blowing just cold air. We'd be sometimes naked in front of this, sweating so much. It was like 115 in the house sometimes. Like, you have a dog, it's dead in like 15 minutes, no joke.
I used to get so upset because I'd be like, I can't cool down. I'd just be naked in this garage.
Yeah. So we just leave, hang out other places than home, and then in the winter, it got really cold.
Really cold.
We had a tile floor, and we had to wear socks or slippers because the cold was so cold.
Yeah,
the floor
it was so
cold.
intense.
Yeah.
I used to bring a heater into the bathroom with me, which is really dangerous now
the
thinking
little
back.
Floor heaters?
Because it was a floor heater and the bathroom was so tiny, and I just thought like if water got on there and into the heat, like it would electrocute, but I just...
Yeah, it would. You'd be fine.
Well, I mean, I am fine, but
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately looking back, I was like, was that smart? I don't know.
The shower was tiny.
Tiny. Tiny.
We were like...
Literally like this. Yeah.
And shampoo her hair because she couldn't raise her arms.
And because I was on birth control at that time, because we had just gotten married and I was trying birth control, that is the shower that I used to sit on the floor and cry in because I was so depressed from my birth control. I just have vivid memories of that tiny shower just, I don't think I should be on birth control anymore. So
that didn't last long.
Yeah, no. I tried 3 different kinds and I was done. But that's how I remember that shower, like my birth control sad shower. So after we found the roach, we moved out and we moved to an apartment in town. in Valencia here that I had wanted to live in since I was a teenager. I was like, when I live in an apartment, I'm gonna live in town center. That's what they're called, town center apartments. So I was over the moon to get to move into this apartment complex. And it was really cool because we moved across the street from the pool. Remember how fun that was?
Yeah.
That was really cool. And we were right next to the pool and the gym, and it was just right there.
Pulling the moving van up, and you know, when you have a U-Haul van, above your windshield, you have, you know, the storage extends right above you, and you're not used to having something very tall over here. And there's even a sticker on the dashboard. It's all, you know, look out, you hit stuff. And I nailed the last corner shilling off of the thing.
It's still gone.
To this day, it's still missing.
We know because we live close nearby still, and we check.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Yeah, and that apartment was a first floor apartment. So I remember the only thing I didn't like about it was waking up in the middle of the night. We were right next to the staircase, to people sometimes showing up at home like really drunk in the middle of the night, and they'd be like stumbling up the stairs, which the stairs were right up by and next to my bed. So we hear just people stumbling up. I was like, and it would wake me up. But other than that,
3:30 in the morning, drunk conversations in the parking lot.
totes.
I wish I had a paintball gun right now.
But other than that, I loved that apartment. I loved that complex, to be honest, and I had a lot of really great memories there. So that was living first floor of that apartment complex. After being there for how long? 8 months? Or a year?
It was 8 months.
Because I know it was 8 months in Singapore.
It was before our
lease was up.
Yeah.
Okay. I got an offer to go perform in Universal, Singapore at Universal Studios. And they offered Dan a job too. They're like, oh, you'll have a job right away when you get there working in construction, because he was working in construction here in the States doing welding.
This story's going to be too long if you stay on Singapore.
No, I'm going to shorten it.
Oh, okay.
So we moved to Singapore, but Singapore, we were there for 8 months, and first off, side note, they never gave him his job, which that was like a whole conspiracy thing. That's like a total side note. I ended up not even being able to fully work because I had injuries in my knee, an injury in my knee that fully flared up. But when we lived there, we moved 3 separate times in Singapore. So we'll lump that into one. But we moved, 3 separate times in Singapore. And we were there for 8 months. So
planned on 2 years, but
only did 8 months because of my injury, and because we didn't know when we moved to Singapore that Singapore was like the 7th most expensive place to live in the world. So all of the guesstimation we had done about what we could save to bring back with us to the States, and like all of that was totally off. And we had no idea when we took that offer that like our apartments and stuff weren't going to be furnished. So we had to spend a ton of our own money on like dishes and furniture and things like that.
If you go work for the company now, it's totally different, but we were the first class, so
there was a lot of like learning curves.
Yeah, a lot of things that were actually promised that, you know, didn't come through. So
drama, but that's a separate topic.
Yeah.
So after we were in Singapore, we came home after 8 months, and with nothing, because we literally thought when we had decided to move there, oh, we're gonna live there 2 years, we're gonna save up all this money for a down payment on a house, and then we're gonna come back, buy a house, have all this money. But like I said, we didn't do our research properly, so we came back with nothing. Thank God my parents let us move back in with them.
Well, we also chose to spend while we were out there too, to be honest.
Yeah, but not really. Like, yes, we did, but we had no idea we were going to have to buy all that furniture, that food was going to be so expensive.
Yeah.
There was so...
We did have to buy so
like,
much
yeah, we
stuff.
spent, but it's not like we were ballers while we were in Singapore. It was just... It was expensive out there, and we just didn't really realize it, you know? And we had to buy our own brand new bedding, like I said, dishes.
It's not like you can sell that stuff when you leave.
Yeah, well, we didn't, yeah.
We left with like a few days notice, didn't we?
I don't remember, to be honest.
We decided, and it was like less than a week that we bounced.
Yeah, I don't remember, to be honest, how fast it was, but I think it was pretty fast that we just decided, like, all right, we're done. Because I I was talking to a friend, and to me, being in Singapore was a really big deal, but to her, she's like a little globetrotter. She's like, go home. You shouldn't be here anymore. You have a knee injury. Get out of here. So went back home, moved in with my parents.
Luckily, they had a guest bedroom that was a decent size. I got my job back within a couple days. They knew I was coming back. Went back to work right away, and then had a lot of side jobs with her mom. Did a lot of work on those side jobs at home, but man, I was putting in like 20 hours of work a day.
You worked so much back then. You really did work a lot. He would work all day, and then he would get home and he would work for my mom. But
in the midst of all that, that's when she started her YouTube channel, and then we were just investing all of our money in getting that ball rolling.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy because to everyone on the outside, all of our friends, we kind of looked crazy because we were married adults living with my parents. We didn't have cars. We didn't have anything. Like, we came home with nothing. And my dad was so sweet. Dan used to have to be at work at like 5 in the morning. Well, that's when my dad does Bible study in the morning. So he volunteered to get up and drive Dan to work so that I wouldn't have to. Now, keep in mind, at the time, like he said,
There was a bunch of times that he let me borrow the car for the day, too.
Yeah, he would just let you take it.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and like he said, I had just started my YouTube channel at the time. And so I was putting in literally like 60 to 70 hours of work a week. So my dad doing that was amazing because I would be up till 1, 2 in the morning, and then I would wake up again at like 7 and start going. I just had so much to learn at the time. I didn't know how to operate a camera, where lighting was. I didn't know anything. But because we were at my parents' house, I had the ability to not have to go get another job.
We didn't pay rent there.
Nope.
We didn't have to pay rent.
And my parents and Dan actually didn't want me to get another job. They were like, the making video thing makes so much sense for you. You've been doing this since you were little. Don't go work somewhere else. Just work on this. So to anyone who's been watching since back in the day and I was filming in front of my parents' house, that was what was going on. We were living there because we literally had nothing.
Yeah. So we got a car.
Which car was first? I don't even remember.
The Infiniti G35.
I loved that car.
I loved that.
That was an awesome car.
It was a pearl white coupe.
Yeah, with tan, like a creamy tan interior.
Yeah, I loved the way the motor sounded in that car.
I loved the way that car looked. I loved the sound system.
I loved the way it drove. The sound system was always really good.
I always felt cute pulling up in it.
Those, yeah. So then we got a second car, and then...
What was the second car?
The Toyota Yaris, which I sold last week.
That is so crazy.
Had that sucker for a little while.
End of an era.
Then we moved back to the apartments in Valencia,
Town Center. Except this time when we moved back to the 3rd floor in a different building. Bowser!
A different floor plan that was a little bit bigger.
It was a little bit bigger.
So we had like the filming and office space.
Yes.
In our room, and then the living room. So, and there's a ton of vlogs in that one.
If you, any of the videos you've seen of us, like
all the vlogmases.
Yeah, being in an apartment where the countertops are orange, all of those were, any of the ones of me filming in a closet where it's like clothes and lights everywhere, that was all the Valencia apartment. And that was really, the reason we were able to move out was because we pretty much stayed at my parents' house until I was making enough money off YouTube to where it was like, oh look, Nikki's making the equivalent of working a full-time job. And it was like, great, both of our incomes can now support the move. So yeah, so we were
without having to slow down the YouTube.
Exactly, with everything still just being kind of the same. And if you're wondering what that period of time was, wouldn't you say it was about 1.5 years being at my parents' house?
Yes.
Yep. So
you lived 1.5 years in your parents' house. It was like 2.5 to 3 years in that Valencia apartment.
In the Valencia apartment.
And then we moved.
Hold on, don't jump ahead. And in that 2.5 to 3 years, about 1 year in is when he left his full-time job. I say full-time job because Dan still likes to weld occasionally, even to this day from time to time. But he left his full-time job to work with me. After being there about 1 year. So we lived there about 2.5 years working together on all things internet. While
we were at her parents' house, I did a lot of studying and then went and got my welding inspector's license. because I thought, you know, that's just like the next career move that I was gonna make. But then I never ended up doing that because I went to go work for her.
Wait, but you got the license though.
I did get the license, but I never.
You never used it.
I never went and became a full-time welding inspector.
Yeah. But you did get the license. Used it a couple times to inspect some things, right?
Just a couple times.
Also, I just remembered the first time we lived in the Valencia apartment. So before when we were on the first floor, another weird thing about our living situation is we actually had to have a roommate when we were living there because of dealing with other injuries. I've told you guys I've dealt with so many different injuries since I was 12. I dealt with an injury when we were living there, and I remember it was pretty early on, us moving into that apartment, and it was kind of like a thing between us because you were like, maybe we did this prematurely, because I remember
you had your knee surgery when we were upstairs.
I know, but it was just an injury at the time, and I had to take time off work. And I remember you were really like, I knew we did this prematurely, and I felt so guilty. I felt like it was my fault. Like, we moved out of the garage, we moved to this apartment. He's stressed now, so I have to figure out how to fix this. So I remember I was at the doctor's office, and I like texted. Yeah, and I was like, I already got it. I found us a roommate. And I remember he was like, you did? And I'm like, yeah. I felt like I like had to fix the problem because I kind of pseudo put us in that problem. So we had a roommate in that first apartment too. But fast forwarding, you know, there, Singapore, parents' house. Now we're back in Valencia. Lived there 2.5, 3 years. And then from there, we moved down to Playa Vista in Los Angeles, which is basically like Marina del Rey, Santa Monica, Venice kind of area.
I like to call that place Trafficville.
Trafficville, USA.
Yeah.
Capital of all traffic. And the reason...
And it was so close to the beach, we never went to the beach. Never went.
It was so close to the YouTube space. YouTube has a space or like production center office area down there. So people have asked a few times why we moved down there, and the reason we moved down there, twofold. One, I was working on a channel at the time, a collab channel called Just Like That, and we were really pedal to the metal, like doing that thing, and like 3 out of the 5 other girls all lived in that same apartment complex, and then the other girls lived really close nearby. So that was one reason. And the second reason was because the complex was literally across the street from the YouTube space. So we did it just to be close to those things that were going on. So yeah, but we only lived there for 5 months.
It was 5 months?
It was only 5 months. Yeah, it was only 5 months, and it went by kind of slow.
Really?
Like, I remember when it happened, I was like, we've only been here for 5 months.
It was very expensive out there.
Very expensive.
So that was short, and then we moved into a house.
It was nice. Hold on. It was nice-ish, but our backyard also smelled like pee because it was like an alley. It was like so bad.
No backyard.
No backyard. Just an alleyway that smelled like pee because people probably were peeing in it. Let's be honest.
Living there was kind of like
being in
so
prison?
we were used to the apartment life from living in the Valencia ones 2 separate times.
Yeah.
This place was kind of like living in a hotel.
Yeah, it was kind of like living in a hotel. The hallways
were inside, and you had to walk really far to get to the parking garage.
Yeah, the parking was hard. It was totally different than our other apartment.
Yeah, you couldn't park anywhere but your space in the parking garage. Everywhere around, you know, you get parking tickets, and sometimes a visitor or whatever is going to be in your spot, and you just got to leave a note. But then where do you park?
Yeah. So, and it was dark, remember? So dark, yeah. Dark wood, dark counters, dark paint. Like, it was just dark.
Yeah, no windows. They were like, the windows were facing the alleyway, and that never got sun, so it was just a dark place.
Yeah. So we lived there 5 months, and after that, we moved to a home back in Santa Clarita, but closer to my parents' house.
It was on their
street.
So they live on the end of a cul-de-sac, and then you leave the cul-de-sac, which is only about like 6 houses deep, but then across the street, that was our house.
Yeah.
And it was a big house with a big jacuzzi, and it was still less than the tiny apartment in Santa Monica.
Literally.
So that was a good move, and we lived there for 1 year. But we
got the year.
We didn't have a choice. We liked the house. We would have we would
Probably
have stayed.
Yeah.
But the guy that we were renting the home from, he passed away 3 weeks after we moved in. So.
Yeah, so it was crazy the whole time we were living there because since he passed away so early, we were constantly dealing with like realtors and people taking pictures and showing up to the house and like.
Yeah. So.
It was pretty insane.
We lived out the lease contract, and then this place opened up.
Now I've said before.
Within just the nick of time, like, because we weren't finding
such a bad thing.
Anything online. We were not finding homes that suited what we needed, and it was, you know, T-9, 8. It was getting close. So, yeah, this one popped up on our phone that it just listed, and I guess the rest is history. Now we're leaving this place.
But it was crazy because
2 years here.
Oh my gosh, almost 2 years.
If we had stayed here till February, it'd be 2 years.
Yeah, so this place though, it was kind of crazy because basically I was in the car and I was literally thinking, man, I want to live on a lake. And I opened up my house or my app, and this house had come for listing that day. Now, this area we live in, there are never houses for rent on the lake. So it's kind of crazy that this came up that day that I found it. We were able to put in a good offer. We actually offered them a little more than they were listing because I was so desperate. I was like, I've literally always wanted to live in this neighborhood. Like, please, this is so perfect.
Well, the 2 homes that we had put in our application and, you know, to get the house, we were excited about those homes, and then we got swooped on by someone that offered a little bit more money. So we saw this house and we're like, we are not going to be the swoopies this time. We're going to be the swoopers.
Swoopers!
So we swooped it from like 20 people.
We did, because when we applied, 21 people had applied ahead of us, but I don't think that they had applied offering more money. So, pro tip, if you're renting.
All it took was a couple $100.
Yeah, so we have loved it here. At least I have, right? You've loved it here?
Yes,
yeah,
of course.
It's been a dream. Yeah. I'm like, literally guys, behind the camera, we're staring at like this beautiful, I don't even know what it's called, like willow type tree dipping into the water on the lake. The breeze is blowing the trees. Like, it's so beautiful here.
Drops stuff all over our furniture.
It's all over our
every
stuff.
Single day.
Yeah, it sucks, but it's beautiful to look at. And I'm gonna miss it here so much. It's so bittersweet.
I like that tree.
I love it here. I love the tree. I love the lake. It's very bittersweet, huh?
I do not like the geese. I thought I did when I first moved here, but the mating season is pretty crazy. It's crazy. I love the ducks, though. The ducks can't ever be too loud. I love the sound of the ducks.
So, guys, that's it. That's our housing story, and now we're moving to Nashville, Tennessee, and buying our first property ever.
The next chapter
we own it,
has not been written yet.
The next chapter has not been written, but we officially own our house. So it's not even like we're buying a house. We officially own our house. And we move in like a few days, like 10 days or 9 days or 8 days, something like that. I don't remember what day it is.
Oy.
I'm so excited. Cheers to the next chapter, right?
I'm just thinking of all the projects that have to be done. There's a couple things that have to be done, and then there's a couple that I could wait on, but...
You excited though?
Yeah, I'm really excited. I have to change the front door of the house.
He does have to change the front door of the house.
It's one of the homes where, you know, the whole door is like a window. I think Bowser will jump through
it.
If he sees the UPS guy come, he'll jump through and bleed out.
Oh no.
Poor dog.
Poor dog.
He just wants to protect.
Well guys, we're gonna go now. And be sure to, we'll be keeping you guys posted on the whole journey to Nashville, vlogging it, letting you guys see all the details. I might do a room by room decoration video. I'm not quite sure yet how I'm gonna do each room, but I'm excited to finally set up in a house that I own. We're both just so stoked about that. And we actually filmed another video. If you wanna hear more about the process of us buying a house, we filmed a video called like buying our first house or something like that. I'll link that down below. Really, like I said, just all about us buying a house if you're interested in what that process looked like. And
now we're off to Cheesecake Factory.
Yep, Cheesecake Factory for lunch. Oh, we'll see you soon.
Bye, fam.
Bye, fam. Fam goals.